Just picked up a light at the restore. I'm gonna make a Christmas present out of it. It's missing a bunch of pieces. There's supposed to be a bunch of these crystals all over it, and it's a pretty beautiful looking piece when it's complete. But this is all I have to work with. Right. Original price. But I'm gonna try to replace all these little crystals with something. With an idea here, if I took a piece of 1.75 OD steel tube I got, and I cut it at a 45-degree angle, I'll end up with like these oval shapes. This is, I think, 200 thou long. And then if I had a bunch of these ovals, I could just kind of pop them all over. Well, this is kind of like the structure that it would look like, but if I replaced it with something along that line. Let's try it. I tried cutting a with a 2-inch at a 45, and it's still not big enough. I think I got to increase my angle to 60 and try again. But I did come up with an idea for filling in the inside of these pieces, or leaves, or whatever we're going to call them, with tissue paper. But not just flat tissue paper. I'm thinking if I can crinkle it and have a kind of a pattern set on it, it'll give it a little bit more of an effect. As you're looking up, you'll see all the waves and crinkles. So I just took some regular white glue, mix it with water, and I'm going to try to put these two pieces of plastic on top and bottom of it, kind of saturate a little bit, and then I just got a pad and a weight, and I'll just give it overnight. Just dumped it on there. I'll try to spread it out a bit now. No idea. I already think I need to definitely put a bigger piece of plastic over it all before I put the foam pad on top. Well, it seems like this is working perfect. It's got just enough of a hold that I can't even tell what side the tissue is glued on. Oh, I'm just going to put it in the middle. Oh, it's still wet. Well, I think it's going to work. Proof of concept. So make sure it's not shiny. That'd be a cool effect. I'll cut out some cardboard, which is a piece, only thing I had in that diameter at a 45. And then this is that piece of tissue. Of course. It gives it a cool effect. I don't know. I just painted it with some cold zinc galvanizing I had to see what that was going to do, but I don't think that's going to do it. I also checked to see if it was conductive, got me wondering. Do something like a plating. But that's just getting too crazy. I think I'm going to go with steel. I was at Ace getting the hammered paint. They had, that's useless. Light bulbs. LEDs. Little filament light bulbs rated 4 watts. Supposedly equal to the 40 watts. They really do seem like it, except I think they work pretty good. I'm really liking this light. It's just got a lot of potential. All these holes at the top here are all drilled and tapped with set screws. I mean, obviously got some wires that have to go through up to each one of these, and all these holes radially around the base of it. They're all held in with set screws too. And then you've got all these arms, which are, you know, have nice positions, a nice bend. And they're all repeatable, and I have an even number that goes all the way around, so I think it's worth putting a little time into. I'm starting to think 850 is definitely worth it, but 3,000, that's still crazy. I have a block of foam here and a lead weight, and I've just made up another one of these tissue paper stacks. But what I pulled out of the drawer happens to be a viscoelastic material, and with the heavy weight on top, there is no way for it to be stable. It will always start to lean. I should set up a time lapse. It just goes very slowly. I think by the time I'm done testing these things, a piece of tube I have in this house is going to have a ankle cut on the end of it. But going back towards the cardboard, this last one I just made with that, I doubled up the tissue just to see if that would give it a little bit more contrast. I think it's too much. And I don't like how thick that this is relative to this. Relative to these, I don't know, vines or branches or whatever you want to call it. It just doesn't seem right. I'd like a little lighter, flowy-ish, I guess. And this cardboard's pretty nice. So I think I'm going to go back to it. I just changed the angle a bit more. Extreme, that's about the max I could do with my miter box. But I like that. Well, I changed my mind again. Gone back to the PVC versus the cardboard. I think it's just going to be a pain to make it out of cardboard. Ideally it would be steel, because the rest of the room that I'm putting this in is built out of steel, and it's all raw steel where you can see the TIG, and it's just enameled. So if I go with this black again, but just a larger size than this, it seems to be not as eye-catching as this thick versus this diameter. Plus, if I go with this bigger diameter, it's going to fill this in more, because there's quite a gap between each of these branches. So instead of having a big open in the middle here, I'd like to have these coming out. And the thought I had to enable this was have this first row offset so it's not directly centered. That way I'll have one row that's kind of straight around, and then they'll start following the leaf pattern. That allows me to not have, otherwise I'd have interference with the other leaves on this first row. Just tested painting the cellular stuff with that hammered paint finish, and I don't like it. The porous nature of it means it's absorbing in, and it just doesn't look good compared to just leaving it raw. It's got that shiny finish on the inside anyway, so I think I'll stick with it. Just tested this other piece of PVC with some of the stinky stuff, just some PVC cement, and it bonds very well to the paper. So all I have to do is just make like a little, I don't know, something, rub it in, dab it on each one of them. This one I tried with the paint itself, like stuck it on while the paint was wet. It's okay, but it's a mess and it bleeds. So that is very unprofessional. I just set up a little jig on the bandsaw to cut all these at a consistent angle, and just cut out a few and trying out a few things. Tried some paint on different ones of them, but I think what it turns out is I don't like paint. I just don't like the look of paint ever. So just with the light sanding and the bandsaw finish, I think that's all we're gonna do. I don't think I like the texturing inside either. I think just clean, and that's the way to do it. So sure makes everything easy. It'll go together real quick. About to go into factory mode here and knock out 36 plus a couple extras of these leaves. There's the setup. I've got a stop. I've got my vise at, I don't even know what the angle is, but it's just ABS, so it cuts quickly. Do that a bunch more. Start with 100 grit and then work my way to 150, and then nice clean diffusers. Also making the inside of the diffusers. This it's just tissue paper. I mixed some glue together with water. I put this piece of So I'm taking the tissue paper, just dunking it. I'm trying to have a pattern that they all follow the same direction up and down a little bit, but something like that. Just have a glass plate, and then done. Perfect. A little jig I set up to pop the holes for all the diffusers. Just a couple clamps, clamped it to the welding table. Popped that in the mill, located that hole, and then found the center of the ellipse. I'm mounting the diffusers to the back of the diffuser holders, and I'm doing this by taking them out. I have a piece of just canvas saturated with cleaner, and bulk it up with a little bit of cement, and then I just drag each piece along. It gets me a nice even application without any glue over or run over. I'm just holding it for 5 seconds or so, and then it's a good enough bond. Just trimmed around the edges. Now we're going to try to fit them all in there. I've assembled all the pieces. They look pretty good. Nice and consistent. And they all have their own kind of detail to them. Fully assembled and fully lit. I think it's a really cool effect for tissue paper and plastic pipe. Thanks for watching. Like what you learn and subscribe for more.